So now we get into annual credit reports. So the 3 credit bureaus are required by federal law to provide you a free annual credit report. So there's certain pros and cons when requesting them all at once. One pro is that you can easily compare them if you order them all at once. Some of the cons is that you can't get additional reports if you order it one time a year, and you can't track and verify new information if things occur. Now, with an annual credit report, this actually provides you your full details on the report. So let's just say, for an example, that somebody spelled Anthony incorrectly. So they did it without the H. Now, every single time somebody misspells your name, it gets recorded. If you look on your credit monitoring site, you only might see 1 or 2 names. But every time I move, have a misspelled address, social security number, phone numbers, addresses, everything that is accumulated, it gets on the report. With this type of report, you see the full entire scope. So when the credit bureaus are reviewing, they will identify and look at the certain data to compare it to if you're disputing a certain trade line or what the accuracy of that information is. I recommend having only 1 name, 1 phone number, 1 social, and 1 address. If you see that there's multiple names and addresses and mistyped names, you want to dispute and get them all removed. Believe it or not, that if you have all of your information removed and just have 1 set of information about you, your credit score can actually increase 3 to 5 points. Not a lot of people know this, but the junk that gets accumulated actually deteriorates your score. And I'm going to go a little bit further here. So let's just say you're applying for some type of new credit or loan or a house of some sort. And an underwriter that is making a decision of requesting or providing you a type of loan, if they see that you have 15 different addresses, that can demonstrate some instability. So if you look at the different algorithms here, you want to be very stable. I've been living in the same address for many, many years. I have 1 phone number that I haven't changed. There's not all these mistyped names on my report. It's important to identify this and make sure they're all corrected before you proceed. How do we read credit reports? So the information in this report is very important for you to understand. We're going to go through step by step and provide the details on how to read this on the next few slides. But getting down to the foundation, the first off is your personal information. So this is where I said in the previous slide of your annual credit reports, you want to make sure there's 1 set of data on who you are, your name, address, social, etc. So if there is additional information you want to dispute, give them a call and make sure there's only 1 set. Employment history. So let's just say that you are working with a ABC company, and then a year later you move to XYZ. You want to make sure that you update the credit bureaus with that data. Because for an example, if you go and apply for a personal loan and the underwriter looks at your credit report and it says that you've been working for ABC, and even though your application says XYZ, that could cause a red flag. You want to minimize the discrepancies to improve your chances of getting approved. Next is your consumer statements. So this is where you can call and provide a statement if something had occurred. One of the most common ones that we see is identity theft. You can put a fraud alert saying that if my credit is pulled, do not extend credit to anybody until you give me a call. There's some pros and cons to this. When we get into the section of actually applying, we'll dive a little bit deeper. However, these consumer statements may be able to help you in certain occasions. Now, there is also trade line statements. Let's just say that something happened and you were late and you feel like it wasn't in your fault. You do dispute, it goes against you, and it still stays on. Well, you can still add a consumer statement stating that, hey, I disagree with this person, it was their fault, whatever the verbiage is, it could be labeled in every individual trade line. Account information. This is where you have information about each trade line, and there's details that go into it. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper. When we review the credit reports, we look at the different types of trades and the information about it. Public records. This section is typically if you have a bankruptcy that had occurred, usually a few years ago when tax liens were able to be reported. So you would see tax liens or bankruptcies. Right now, they passed a law a couple of years ago that no tax liens or judgments will be reported on the reports. So right now, the most common one that we see is bankruptcies. Remember, these bankruptcies can stay on for 10 years. And last but not least is your inquiries. So the number of different inquiries that you have applied with from the last 2 years will all be reported on each individual credit bureau.